Firstly, let's just recap on the meaning of the letters in the space model. S, social context or situation. P, physicality, physiology, physical effects that people feel, such as tension, nausea, sweating, flushing, things like that. Actions, things that people do or things that they avoid doing. Cognitions, thoughts, conscious or subconscious, so this can include assumptions that are being made and also includes the deep beliefs and values which people have, which can have a big impact on both how they act and also on their emotions. And emotions are for anger, frustration on the negative side, and are excitement and enthusiasm on the positive side. So, how do we actually work with space in a coaching situation? Nick Edgerton, who developed the model, has identified three models, three levels, which he describes as first the prospecting or blue work, red work, identifying the disturbances that are getting in the way, the unhelpful thoughts and actions, and green work, finding the more positive actions, thoughts that may help people manage the situation. Before we get into this, when might we find this model useful? Well, if there are very explicit references that link up these things, somebody is saying that specifically linking an action, every time I have to do that job, I think I really shouldn't have to do this, it's not part of my role, and I get angry with my boss who's made me do this work that I shouldn't have to do. As a result, I get quite tense and grumpy. In fact, and actually, I have to. It's a real effort to do it. There's a statement that links everything, so that might be a reason to use the space model, or to try the space model. Another reason might be that people are repeatedly committing to actions but not following through. And when you explore this, they come up with lots of justifications which don't seem to really be the real reason they're not moving forward, which would be an indication there's something hidden. And what space is good at is actually finding out some of this hidden stuff. It's hidden from them as well, which is why they can't actually get to grips with it. So let's look at prospecting. This is what we do in coaching: identifying goals, patterns of behaviour, procrastination, peak experiences, and positive questions there about when things were working really well, what were they like, and the usual business of contracting and recontracting. Now, when we get going on the space model, we first present it, and then we start questioning. So questioning about specific examples, asking about periods of time, and then using questions that look at all the aspects. What was the situation then? What were you doing? How did that make you feel? Did you notice any physical impact? What was going through your mind? What were you thinking about? These sorts of questions all start to explore the situation in the blue work. And as we ask these questions and listen to the answers, we record them, moving around the model, trying to get something against all 5 elements of the model. People will tend to favour one or other of the elements of the model. Some people will like to talk about action all the time. Some people will like to talk about feelings all the time. Nick's view is by making sure we cover all of the elements, we actually get to some of the stuff people are less comfortable with sharing with us, but maybe the very important stuff is in there. And of course, as coaches, we will have preferences as well. So making sure we go around all 5 elements helps us avoid any unconscious bias from ourselves. Now, when we have completed this, when we actually get some really important stuff, and that's when we are moving on to the red work. And in my experience, you can't force this, but you know when it happens. We're looking for strong statements, strong words. If people start to say, the thing is, actually, I get really, really angry, and I just start thinking, what the bloody hell are they thinking about asking me to do this? It's a complete devaluing of my role. Now, hot thought there, my role is being devalued. I am not valued. So we start recording these in a red pen to distinguish them. Over-arousal, self-defeating behaviours, So people saying, I know I ought to do this, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I get so angry, then I go off and do X instead. Yeah. So we're looking all the time for the things that are getting in the way, self-defeating behaviours, physical disturbances, hot thoughts, slight exaggeration to correct understatement. This is something we can do here in order to test. This is a sort of overstating and understating to see if people say I was really angry. So we might say, so you were really, really angry. If the coachee comes back with, yeah, I was really, really angry, then you've got it. But if they come back with, well, I wasn't really that angry, just actually checking that we've got it right. Once we have the red work, we can start taking each of those hot items and start to look at what would be more helpful. And the thing with the space model is you can start anywhere with this. And this is where we want to be led by the preferences of our coachee. Some people may feel more comfortable with want to start with emotions. Some may want to start with thoughts. Some may want to start with actions. Some may want to start with physicality. But again, we go around them all. We go around them all until we have something in green against every element. And of course, the greens we have against the action are things that we can write down in an action plan. They're things that people can do. And really, that's how we can use space within a coaching session.